Hey there, everybody. This is Josh Cantwell, CEO at Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures. And welcome back to another interview series, part of our podcasting series, Strategic Real Estate Coach Radio. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to YouTube or any of the other social media platforms. I want to welcome you. And today our goal is to give you some amazing ideas and strategies to help you, level up your game in real estate investing. So I appreciate everybody being here. My guest for today is my good friend, Jim Thomas from the New Jersey market. Jim is one of our students and actually coming up at our Flip and Fun Summit, one of our live events that we do once or twice a year. Jim is going to be there actually hanging out, sharing the stage a little bit, sharing some information with our crowd. So we're excited to have him there. And I've actually caught Jim on his way from New Jersey, driving down to Southern Ohio, to go hunting. So we're recording this on a Tuesday afternoon, and Jim's making the trek down to Southern Ohio. So Jim, thanks for joining us today. And why don't we jump in, buddy? Just tell us what you're doing. Tell us where you're going from New Jersey to Southern Ohio, and you're off having fun. So what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm in my second office here, Josh.
Right.
My little home away from home. I got back last night. I hopped in my truck early this morning. I'm headed to Southern Illinois down by Lower Salem, Marietta area for my annual hunting trip. So I'm excited about that, to get back with my buddy out there and meet him out in the trees.
Nice. How long have you been hunting?
I've been hunting my whole life. So really active bow hunting for about the last 15 years. I absolutely love it. So
nice, doing something you love and driving out during the week on a Tuesday. That's great. When we were getting ready for this, I said, "Man, Jim, you look like a hunter. Beard going, nicely trimmed, right?"
Yeah. Gotta look good for the deer, Josh.
That's right. Yeah. They don't know what's coming. That's great, man. So Jim, tell us, you're an active real estate investor full-time. I know you've got a couple different things you do, sort of multiple streams of income, but real estate-wise, you're essentially retired from your former job on the railroad after 26 years, I think it was, on the railroad to be a full-time real estate investor and some other things that you kind of toy around with on the side now, enjoying that. So why don't you just kind of help our audience understand where are you at in your real estate investing today? Give us an idea of what you focus on, whether it's wholesaling, rehabbing, passive cash flow, private money. Tell us a little bit about your investing strategy.
Yeah, actually, I've been into a little bit of everything here lately. And great news for those that don't know it. I haven't had a chance to put it up in our Mastermind Elite and that on Facebook crowd yet, but we just closed a house and just got the wire this morning.
Nice.
Autobahn, bye-bye.
Autobahn, you sold it?
Yeah, Autobahn's history.
All right. That's good stuff. I didn't talk to my team yet. For those of you guys that don't know, as being a private lender and running our private equity fund, we fund deals for our students and our members and our friends. We funded that deal for Jim, so he was able to buy the property with no money out of pocket. I think the only thing Jim paid for was like his appraisal, inspection, stuff like that. But he was able to get to the closing table, no money down. And we funded it for him and made a profitable deal and got the wire this morning. Yeah. Killer. Yeah. And Jim, that's like what, the 6th or 8th deal we funded for you?
Yeah, somewhere between 6 and 8. And another one that you funded also, Albertine, that's going out the door not this week, but the following week on the 16th, we'll close that one out as well.
Nice. So it's going to be a good month, November.
Yeah, I love November, man. Babies need new shoes, you know what I mean?
Babies need new shoes. Yeah, and you need to get some new hunting equipment too,
I'm headed to Cabela's on my way to lower area of Ohio here.
No, don't spend the whole wire that you just got. Your wife might be upset.
No, I won't do that. But I've really been doing a lot of fix and flip properties. You guys have funded quite a handful of those that we've done. Like I say, about 6 or 8. We've got 2 more in the works that we used a lender on that we're rehabbing big projects. We've got another one on market right now for sale We've got another one coming up here shortly that's going to hit the market. We've got one that we just put under contract that we close on the 26th. That one right now, we're going to start that as a rehab with the idea of flipping it and selling it. But the numbers on it are real good. I'm excited to actually talking with Chris here the other day. For those that don't know, he's with Freeland that does a lot of the underwriting and that stuff. Right. We spoke about the new long-term funding that you guys have. So as we work through that project, depending on kind of where we land, we may, instead of put granite and nice backsplash, we may put Formica countertops and transition that into long-term rental. That way we've got that monthly cash flow. That's been part of my big focus here lately, is creating that monthly cash flow. We landed a deal up in upstate New York, very, very similar to the one that I did a couple of years ago, that I told you, the HUD that I got for like $18,000 up there. Yeah. The same realtor that we worked with, we went on vacation this year, and when we came back, 2 days after I came back, we looked at a few houses. She had called me and she says, "I got another deal for you. You got to get back up here." So we landed that deal. It was a gentleman, his dad had moved in with him. He was trying to unload the house. I love some of the things that I've heard from you and the other coaches of, the negotiations and stuff. And they wanted $45,000 for the house. I went up, I took a look at it, and I was like, man, $45,000 is a steal on that house. But I don't want to pay $45,000. So I called him up.
Retail.
Yeah. So I called him up, and I, in short, just kind of, for what we're going to have to do in rehab, I fed off from him, because before I even went in, his words to me on the phone were, "Man, it's a wreck. It needs a lot of work," and blah, blah, blah. So when I got on the phone with him, the words out of my mouth were, "Hey, man, you were right. The place is a wreck. It needs a lot of work. I couldn't hardly begin to give you what you're looking for the house." And he says, "Well, what are you thinking?" And I said, "I really couldn't go much more than 15, 20,000 on that house." And he was like, "Oh man, I was really hoping to get a little bit more. Would you be able to come up to like 35,000? I said, "Man, gave it that awkward moment of silence. And I was like, "Man, it's a lot of work when you look at the ARV and that." I said, 15 to 20, that's my max, bud. And he was like, "Well, I really got to get rid of it. Would you be willing to meet me like halfway?" And I went, Now I'm sitting right where I'm sitting right now in my truck seat with the phone in my ear, not saying a word, just awkward silence. But in the meantime, I'm fist pumping going, "Oh yeah, baby, cash flow. And I was like, "Well, so you're talking like 25,000? He goes, "Yeah." I says, "All right, 25,000. Man, I hate to do it. It's a lot." I said, "I could do that, but you're going to have to handle all the closing costs and all that type of stuff." He's like, "All right, done deal." I literally hung up with him, called the attorney. I said, "Draw this thing up now." I said, "And get it out to me, get it to him." So we locked it in under contract for $25,000. It needs probably about 25 to get it rent ready. And it'll be a seasonal rental, rent out about 4 months a year. And it'll do me somewhere between $1,200 to $1,600 a week in rental. Yeah. Nice. So I'm excited about that. Not to mention there's a nice garage in the back that we can convert to another rental, which will double that, turning it into about 2,800, somewhere around there, a week in rental income. So
wow. So you could literally have that thing, if you took all the cash flow and put it right towards, your principal, if you had a loan on it, right, you basically have that thing paid off in like 5 to 7 years or less.
Exactly.
Wow. That's great, Jim. Yeah. So a lot of rehab stuff. Obviously we funded a lot of your deals, which is great. For those of you that, are looking for a lender or looking for more information about funding, you can check out our website. It's freelandlending.com. Ping us, contact us, let us know if we can help you. And we have a process like we're working through with Jim where we can provide the purchase funding, the rehab funding. There is, interest payments that you have to make and stuff like that. So it's not totally like no cash at all, but we do fund the deal 100% at the closing table. but purchase and rehab. And then we have a takeout lender, permanent finance lenders that will fund deals for 30 years based off of a 30-year amortization schedule. I just did that on one of my own properties, bought it, rehabbed it, rented it, refinanced it, and only put, in that case, I wanted a lower loan to value on the long-term rental. So I put like $5,600 into it on a $150,000 deal. That's what I put in at closing to pay off my acquisition funding and my rehab funding, so I could keep it long-term. So $5,000 out of pocket, and I'll make that up within a few months of positive rental income. So Jim, is that part of your strategy now, is kind of fix and flip for big profit, but then fix, rehab, rent, and refi for long-term cash flow?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, one of the things that I wish I could have told myself here a few years ago was, you're moving these flips, leverage that money that you're making back into more rental portfolio, leverage some of that, kind of split it up between, putting some money back to keep the rehabs going, but leverage some back and take mortgages and long-term whatever, right, to get that cash flow coming, because it helps with obviously those monthly holding costs with different lenders and different things like that, and just the sustainability of the family.
Yeah, absolutely. Cash is king. That's great, Jim. So Jim, let me take a step back and let's go back in history a little bit. A couple years ago, just tell us again a little bit about your background. You worked on the railroad for over 25 years. What was that like? And when that was coming to an end, when did you kind of catch the real estate bug, and how did you kind of figure out your exit from kind of retiring, getting out of the railroad and into real estate? So I guess the question is when did you catch the real estate bug? And when you did, what were you doing at that time?
Yeah, it's funny because I've actually had the real estate bug for a very, very long time.
I caught you too.
Before I even went in the Marine Corps, because I had an aunt who was very successful with real estate. But I didn't want to be that nag that kind of hounded her, like, Aunt Linda, how'd you do this? And so on and so on. I'm running the grind on the railroad every single day, up at 5:30, out in my truck at 6, and down at the yard by 7, and working. Supposed to be till 3:30, but who knows? I might be lucky if I'm home by 9. I'd leave before my kids got up, getting home after they went to bed. I'm supposed to see them on Saturday. That's not happening because I'm stuck working Saturday too, half a day Sunday. So I'm literally getting like 4 hours a week with my girls, and that's no good, And I decided I needed to make a change, and I actually had flown to Tennessee for a job interview, because there's no secret. Everybody knows that me and my wife want to head out to Tennessee.
Right.
And for the first time right before I had left, I had went to a few seminars, through a few different things, and I get this email from Josh Cantwell. And I said to myself, oh, great, another one of these gurus, right? And I kind of put it to the side. And I went to Tennessee, and I sat through that interview, and for the first time in my life ever, I was told no, that I wasn't made for that position. It wasn't for me. And I thought, you son of a bitch, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? So I was headed back to the airport, and I remember I'm flying down the highway. I am PO'd. Every word in the book coming out of my mouth. I'm on the phone with my wife talking about what a no good, what that guy was to tell me. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? I says, I'm going to get back into my email. I said, and I'm going to find that Josh Cantwell, and I'm going to get into his course on some level and somewhere and see what I can get going, because I need to do something different. And I remember sitting down on the airplane. I'm walking in, and I'm on my phone trying to get set up with, back then it was the 40K flips, right?
Sure.
And I hit it the first time. I wasn't sure if everything cycled and went through, so I did it again. So I ended up signing up for you like 3 times that day. and I kept getting these emails. Finally, I talked to the girls at the office. They got it all squared away. But,
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So then I found out that I think Vegas was the first event. You were having an event there, and I got signed up, and I went down, and I'm there with my wife and everything, and I was all in. At that point, I was ready to go. Problem was we didn't really have the money at that point to do it. We were struggling,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching some of the people sign up and get moving with you there at that event. And I thought, all right, Chrissy Morrison, she's in my area. Teddy Slack, he's in my area. Mark Camona, he's down in Texas. I need to follow these guys and kind of see what they're doing over the next 6 months. And Chrissy, man, I watched her drop her deals in, got this one under contract, this going on, and I just sat stall for 6 months with I was looking at properties, doing offers, listening to all your weekly. I remember hiding under the bridges to listen to the Tuesday calls, right? Because we're not allowed to have our phone on the railroad, and hoping the supervisor wouldn't drive up while I was getting educated.
And at 2:00, hiding underneath the bridge.
Yeah. But I watched the success that they were having, and I said to my wife, I said, they have another event coming up in Dallas. I said, come hell or high water, I am going to Dallas, and I'm getting in with these guys the way I should be. And the thing was, my only regret of it was there wasn't deals lost. There wasn't opportunity passed up, if you will. It just went to somebody else, right, that knew how to get them and do those things. What I lost was 6 full months of earning potential that Chrissy Morrison and Teddy Slack and Mark Camona, they all had that. And I was watching them crush it. And when I got back out to Dallas, I found Chrissy and I said, hey, I'm in. I said, I'm not waiting any longer. And I remember walking up to Brian and looking at him, and he's he kind of recognized me. I said hello, and I said, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to go. I said, I don't need anything. I said, just tell me what I've got to do. And I remember watching his jaw drop, like, I said, are you the guy to talk to, or is there somebody else? Right?
Yeah.
So there was no way I was walking out of that event not being part of that mastermind, master elite group, because I already saw what it had done for the other people. So my only regret through this entire process is that I didn't do it 6 months prior, because I lost a lot of earning potential.
Gotcha. That's awesome, Jim. So help me understand, so you went through that interview in Tennessee. There was obviously something eating at you to say, the railroad's not for me anymore. I put in my time. I'm sick of missing all this time with my girls. Tennessee's a place we want to go, and real estate is an opportunity I have. What was it about, making that next step? What was it? Were you just unsatisfied? Was it the time with your kids? Was it you weren't earning enough money? What was it that was really kind of biting at you, eating at you, that you thought, man, this is not the life I want. I can be so much bigger, so much better. There's another version of me that's a bigger, better version, and the railroad's not going to cut it. I've got to find something else. Give me an idea of what was going on in your mind at that moment.
Yeah, I would say check all the above that you just mentioned.
Okay.
A big part of me that was killing me was not being with my kids, right? I mean, as a parent, one of the biggest things that we want is, one, when they're little, is having that time, having the freedom to be with them, to enjoy the little parts in their life that my parents missed with me, because they were at the grind. They were working daily. Some of you may have seen here recently, back on the 31st, I'm beside myself and excited as I'll get out that I'm one. Now, that field that I stood on with my kids for their Halloween parade, all right, there's 300 or so kids in that school, which means there should be 600 people minimum standing on that field.
Yeah.
And I was one of
grandparents,
Yeah. I was one of 10 dads that got to stand on that field basically and watch my girls go around and around in a circle. And you guys watch the video, you'll see their faces light up when they realize Daddy's here. He's videoing. He's right there, So for me, that was a huge thing. The next part of it was trying to figure out, how are we going to provide for them girls as they get older? How are we going to get them to college? how are we going to take care of them and support them? And not something that I share with a lot of people, but obviously anybody watching this is going to find out. You know, a few years ago, we were in a lot of trouble financially. You know, we were trying to keep the house out of foreclosure, and it was a bad time for us. And I've never been one to lay down, right? Just lay down, put my hands up and say, all right, you got me, you know, take it. It's over. I've always been a fighter. And that day when he told me no, that I couldn't have that job, I was like, you son of a bitch, don't you ever worry about it, because I'm never going to need a job again. And I raced back to get into your program. I had to obviously stay with the railroad for a little bit because I had to keep that money coming and stuff. And when I finally made that decision, when I said to my wife, I said, you know, because it was right before we had hit the Dallas event. I said, baby, I said, I can't do this working on the railroad. I says, I don't have the time to be making calls in the middle of the day, trying to look at properties, go through contract. I don't have the time for that. The only way I'm really going to be able to take this business off the ground is to free up that time to have to do that. And she's like, well, what are we talking about? I said, I need to walk away from the railroad. I said, as much as I hate to do it, I said, I've got my time in. I said, I literally can walk out of there right now. I said, if I leave, that frees me up to get access to my 401k so I can utilize that, roll it into self-directed IRAs, things like that I'd been hearing. And I said, and that'll free me to be able to look for the deals and find the deals. And she says, well, you know, how much time are we talking about? I said, well, I'm not worried about it. I said, because I know that I can walk back in that office in a minute and they'll hire me back just like that. Yeah. I said, I need 3 weeks. And she looked at me like, what? I said, 3 weeks. I said, you give me 3 weeks. I said, if I can't find a deal inside 3 weeks, then I shouldn't be doing this anyway. And I'll go back to the railroad and we'll just stay where we're at. And she's like, okay, you're on. I'm behind you. I support you. And when I walked into Dallas, not only was I ready and prepared to get going with you, you know, the full master and that, I walked in there with 3 deals in my pocket. Yeah. Right? Because I had been just.
One of them was that HUD deal.
Yeah. It was all 3 of them were HUD deals. I had 3 HUD deals because I had been really watching and listening to DK's, you know, working his way through. Now I'm a little not as computer savvy as DK in that. So one of the great things that we did actually with you here about a year ago was that Colby Challenge that made me recognize my strength, my weakness, and I need to employ other people to handle some of those other things. So I'm still about as tech savvy as I was when I first started. But on the other side, I've got people around me who are tech savvy that can handle doing the things that DK has showed me. So
nice.
Man, it's just been lightning ever since. So.
Nice. Yeah. You know, I think I call it I spoke about this on other podcasts, blog posts. I speak about this at our live events. And I call it the pressure cooker. The pressure cooker is where you're kind of doing something, doing it. It's not necessarily fulfilling, but you're either people fall into an area where they feel comfortable or they fall into an area where they feel trapped. It's either comfort or being trapped where they're in one thing. It could be the railroad. It could be, for me, it was financial planning. For a lot of other people, it might be medical sales, or they're a doctor or a teacher, or, you know, whatever it might be. And their income's going up, but their lifestyle's going up with it. And they feel like they're kind of stuck with the job because the lifestyle's right behind that. Right. And they're kind of doing it for a while. And then the pain of doing that is continuing to grow and grow. And they're not feeling, you know, they're starting to get maybe physically sick or physically not fit anymore. Mentally, they're frustrated. They're fighting with their spouse, but their income might be really good. But all these negative things are happening because they're just not feeling that sense of fulfillment anymore. They're not feeling the sense of feeling like there's a future, like they're making progress. And if you take away somebody's feeling of progress, it becomes depressing. Yeah. Talked a lot about this actually during World War II, where because the Nazis were taking over, you know, Europe, that when you take away somebody's feeling of progress, people tend to give up. Well, other people, if in your case, Jim, you probably felt like the railroad wasn't giving you any more sense of fulfillment or sense of progress, and you kind of feel like the world's kind of caving in. You feel this pressure cooker. You feel so much pain that you totally give up, which you obviously weren't going to do, or you feel so much pain that you fight back. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, I've got to do something different. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to do something else. And that's when you thought, okay, I'm going to go do this job in Tennessee. And the guy told you no. And then that feeling of like progress was even kind of smashed a little bit more. And then you're like, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go do this thing on my own. And all of a sudden it's like, now it's about momentum, progress. I feel this sense of like accomplishment, this sense of I'm achieving something. I'm doing this on my own. And the only way to continue to have that growth is to continue to set bigger and bigger and bigger goals. Because if you don't set bigger and bigger goals, what happens is you actually achieve your goals. And when you achieve your goals, it's actually a good thing, but it's a bad thing in some ways, because if you don't have bigger goals to chase after and you start to feel, again, that sense of comfort like you had at the railroad, it's just a higher level, but the same sense of comfort where you're like, okay, if I have this comfort now and I don't have that pain that I had when I wanted to leave the railroad, now if I don't have that sense of pain kind of pushing me from behind, pushing me with that momentum, right? And I have this sense of comfort, eventually if I have that sense of comfort too long, I'm going to fall back to my old ways. I'm going to fall back to my old problems. I'm going to fall back to my old financial issues. So you really don't want to keep that sense of comfort too long. And that's the one thing I tell people, look, you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. The most successful people that I know are always uncomfortable. They're always trying to achieve something else. Matter of fact, Kevin Harrington, the original shark from Shark Tank and the founder of As Seen on TV, he told me that in a private session. He and I were talking. He's like, Josh, look, I'm 60-something years old now, and I've never been comfortable. He's worth tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. I've never been comfortable. I've always had bigger and bigger goals. I've always felt like there's a sense of insecurity, and that's why I've had so much financial, impact and so much financial security, is because I never felt secure. I always wanted to achieve something else. Right. So, Jim, that leads me to the next question for you, which is, what does the future look like for you then? Now that you've we see the past, we know where you're at today, you've done lots of deals, you're creating passive income. What does the future look like for you? So project yourself out, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What do you want that to look like, both financially, but also like day to day? Like, what do you want to be doing with your time, with your kids, with your spouse? What does that look like in the future?
Yeah. What I've tried to stay focused with is what you were just saying, is keeping an uncomfortable feeling. And those aren't always hard to find, right? Right. I look at kind of the slow time between the rehabs and stuff like that with not much coming in, and recognizing that, hey, this is an uncomfortable position for me. I need to create something more that's going to give me that monthly, cash flow that continues to come in, which is why I've been so focused here lately in looking, everything I've pretty much bought to this point has been a flip. Mm-hmm. The next 3 properties that I have under contract right now, or in attaining the contract on them over the next week, those are rentals. They're rental properties because I need that for that monthly cash flow. Yeah. Another thing, I was actually just talking with another one of our mastermind students here last evening. Because it's a big family, right? One of us gets down, we reach out, we have a conversation, we pick each other up, and we keep on trucking. And he brought kind of light to me of, even though I'm having the successes with the flips and stuff like that, one of the things I'm lacking is the wholesale side. And we talked about this there in our round circle down in Punta Cana, but I kind of forgot it or kind of set it aside, right? Because I was moving with the flips so much, but is doing the wholesale side, moving some properties in between, give me 15, 20K in cash quick, and roll that into, rentals or rehabs or whatever it is that I'm doing, but trying to keep a constant cash flow. One of the things that I've probably been most fear of is the private money side. It's finding partners. It's doing those things. And DK, you know, every week or every 2 weeks when we have our coaching session, one of the things that we always talk about is private money, sometimes in more depth than others, right? But just on a constant search for that private money, bringing it in. And I have found it in a lot of little ways. Many people know my partner, Wesley. We've done a lot of deals together. Wesley Harris out in California. I just actually got together with another couple here in New Jersey that I can't wait to get them to one of the events. I don't know if they can make Vegas or not, but bringing them into the group as well. We're starting to do a little bit of work together. They've been doing a lot of rental portfolio, which is kind of why I latched onto them a little bit to help me here in this area with the rental side. But they want to learn the flip side. So we're going to do a couple of deals together. They've got some private money behind them and stuff. But I found a lot of, you know, we talk about private money a lot, right? And I kind of, at first I was in my mind thinking like, you know, 100,000, 200,000 type investors. But man, I love the little $20,000 and $30,000 investors that help me move a rehab. Right. Sure. Having that cash in hand that I can utilize their monies. And in the last 3 weeks, I have found 4 of them that can put just a little bit in, you know, and give them a return on their money over a couple of month period that's way higher than where it is where they're getting. As a matter of fact, I just got off the phone on the other side of the Blue Ridge Mountains with a girl that has a lazy 401k. And she's making the call today to move that 401k into a self-directed IRA because she's going to utilize it to invest in the property that we close on the 26th. So it's man, if I could tell myself one thing back, you know, a couple of years ago when I started to 4 or 5 years ago, it's private money. Start working on that private money. Hit that, you know, you know, we all have the rainy day, right? You got the sunshine days and the rainy days. And if you take a little bit away from that cash that you're making through the flip, put it on the side, it takes care of the rainy day for you, you know? That's right. And learning how to leverage what you've got and leverage what somebody else has together to get your end goal, what you're after. So I've become much more cognizant of that, and that's my focus here lately is leveraging not just my money, but other people's money as well, coming together to get my end goal right now, which is the long-term buy and hold the rental portfolios is what I'm trying to build up.
Yeah, you look at a lender like us, like Freeland. I mean, you know, when I recruit private money for my own deals, and this is the backbone of what I've taught you and hundreds, thousands of other people, is, you know, funding equals freedom. And I've borrowed millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars, and I pay my investors 12% interest or 15% of my profits, whichever is greater. And there's a lot of people that gravitate to that and are like, oh man, 12% is my minimum. I can get upside. If I get 15% of the profit, could be more. And the answer is yeah. And oh, by the way, the 12% is actually net. It's a net return. There's no fees in there. It's 12% net. So it's the equivalent of getting 14, 15% in the stock market year after year after year after year. Well, I've taught that to Jim. I've taught that to, again, hundreds, thousands of other people who've used it. And, you know, a lot of them have had massive success. Some of them are a little bit apprehensive like Jim's been, right? But what Jim's done, which is really, really smart, is he's put together maybe 2 or 3 different types of money to still do his deals where he can essentially do the deal with no money down or no money out of his pocket. Where let's say a lender like me. So when I lend money differently than when I borrow it. When I lend it, we lend the purchase price and the rehab, but our borrowers like Jim have to pay for the rehab out of their own pocket, and then we reimburse them. And they also have a monthly interest-only payment. Well, what Jim's done is taken our money to fund the most of the deal. Let's say 80, 90% of the total deal. Well, he's used other people's money to maybe make his interest-only payment for him. Or he's used other people's money to fund his rehab, and then we reimburse him for it. So he's really not using any of his own cash. He's using somebody else's money to front the rehab funds. and then we're reimbursing him for it once the work is done, and then he gets his money back out of it. So using those two types of lenders together still allows Jim to essentially do the deal with no money down or no money out of his own pocket. Very, very, very smart. And the beautiful thing about it for Jim and for other guys doing the same thing is as they do more deals, you get more and more credibility, and somebody that maybe gives you $25,000 today refers you to somebody that has $100,000, $200,000, $400,000. Or what I find a lot too, Jim, you've probably seen this, is people will test you with little money. Yeah. They'll say, well, how about I start you with $25,000 or $50,000? Then you find out they've got $500,000. They've got $250,000 in their 401k, and they're like, hey, how about I give you $150,000 this time? Yeah. Right. Then it starts to mushroom, and they started with this little amount, gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they refer you to other people, and this massive spider web starts to happen, which is what's starting to happen for you, Jim. So that's awesome. Yeah. So Jim, listen, as we wrap up, if you have any other comments around that topic, definitely let us know. Mention that, and then is there any other advice that now that you've had a lot of experience, you've done a lot of successful flips, we know where you want to go in the future, but is there anything else you would tell your former self going back a couple of years ago, now that you've cut your teeth, now that you've made a lot of money in this business, now that you're achieving your goals, you're going hunting on a Tuesday, you're spending time with your kids on a random Thursday afternoon, what's some advice that you give your former self that you wish you had known when you first got started?
Yeah, I'll give you the advice first, and then I'll go back to a little part that you were just kind of hitting on, the spider web. The biggest thing that I would tell myself is the excuses are over. You need to get off your butt. You need to pull the trigger, make the decision, dive in, head first, feet first, your whole body, get in there and do it. And let it be what it is. If you follow what you teach and the coaches teach, you're going to be fine, right? There's going to be some stumbling blocks along the way. Yeah, I've fired 4 of my best friends that were contractors, right? and here, one thing I would tell myself, my former self, is what I heard on the stage is real. Like, you are going to fire your contractor every 3 to 4 jobs, because you really can't hold them for much longer than that. Some of those relationships do last longer. I mean, of my crews, of my original crew that first started, the only person that's still with me is my painter. And, gotcha. And he's freaking amazing. I wouldn't let him go for nothing. And another thing would be, tell everybody that you come across. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Tell them what you do. Right? It starts with the first question of, hi, I'm Jim. What's your name? Right? And then, well, what do you do? Yeah. I don't give a shit what they do. I'm trying to get them to ask me what I do. Right. And that leads me to
good listener.
The pitch, right? Well, I'm glad you asked. I own real estate companies, and I don't actually do the flips and things like that. We flip, we buy, hold, etc. But I get to do the things that I enjoy, which is to come out and meet people out here in the public and bring in private money, private capital into our companies, blah, 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 right? So we all know kind of the elevator pitch getting started. But tell everybody what you do. Everybody is intrigued by real estate. No matter where you go with the rest of the sentences, everybody's intrigued by real estate. I give them my telephone number, and I tell them, if I don't care where you're looking for a house, give me a call. Let me know. I'm really good at getting them cheap, right? Yeah. Maybe we can work a deal. Or, I've been listening, and I understand that you've got probably some money to work with. Give me your number. Let's get together. Let's have lunch. Let's have a telephone call. Let's have some kind of interface between us and see if there's something that we can do together, But, always getting that telephone number from them, because I don't care who it is. I don't care if you're talking to them about buying a house. If they're looking to buy a house from you, if they've got a deal that they think that's there, if it's money, no matter what, guaranteed they're not calling you.
Yeah.
You got to be able to reach out back to them. And that was a little lesson learned in the first handful of months, where I was talking to a lot of people, but I didn't give them my contact information until I heard you say it on like a webinar one day. And I was like, damn, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm not getting any callbacks. I need to be able to call them. So just listening. And sometimes it's just those little things, right?
It is. Anybody who we could buy a house from, you heard me say this, I don't know how many dozens of times. Anybody who could buy a house from, sell a house to, anybody who could be a private lender, or anybody who could be a cheerleader for us.
Right.
Somebody that we want to kind of bring into our business, because I've done dozens and dozens and dozens of real estate deals, wholesale deals, short sales, rehabs, through referrals. Right. And then the vast majority of my private lenders are all through referrals. People that I met, some of them became private lenders, referred me. Some of them just listened to my presentation and said, well, I don't really have any money, or this isn't for me, but I got a friend that's interested in this, and it's kind of spider webbed out. And we deliver that, private money magnet presentation, assuming that the people that we're talking to have no money. So that at the end, if they do have money, they say, what about me? I'm interested in this. I'm interested in real estate. Can we joint venture on a deal? Can I be a private lender? Can I find a property that we can flip? I just got a text message yesterday from one of my buddies from high school, going back like over 25 years ago, who says, I want to start flipping houses. I need some help. I need some guidance. I want to pay for your mentoring. This is a close friend of mine who wants to pay me. And, he's also, I also need your funding. So he's like, I want the mentoring, I want the funding, but you got to help me get going. I've been dying. And he's a very successful mortgage banker. He closes about 15 or 20 loans a month. He's got a team. He's networked in with a bunch of realtors. But this guy's a private lender to me that now wants to be an active investor. So again, don't assume anybody is going to be a buyer, a seller, a private lender, or a cheerleader. Just assume everybody's going to be one of those. And everybody can help you. You can help them. Everybody loves real estate, whether it's doing a flip, a rental, whatever. Everybody, has some interest in real estate one way or another. So that's fantastic, Jim. And it's kind of just getting the belief, right? The confidence to know that you can go talk to people, kind of throw it out there, and they're going to be interested. You're not going to have egg on your face, right? And really, didn't you learn that? You're like, just the more I talk about it, really, the more people there's way more people interested than not interested.
Right. Two quick stories for you. One specifically to what we're talking about. This deal that we close up here on the 26th, we were having a lot of trouble with the selling agent, right? Not getting back to us. And I hopped on a plane. This is why you got to talk to everybody. I hop on the plane and I'm sitting in first class and I'm between two guys in suits. They're clearly together. And I said to the one guy, I says, hey, bud, I says, if you want to sit over here by the aisle next to your buddy, I said, I'm happy to switch with you. And he looks at me and he goes, seriously? He says, I've been with this guy all week. He says, I don't want to talk to him no more. I said, it's all right, cool. And so we take off and we get talking. And I said, well, what do you guys do? And the one guy says, well, I work for the banks. I said, really? I said, that's cool. I said, like what bank? He goes, New York Mellon. I said, really? I said, I've bought like a handful of properties from you guys here lately. And he says, well, what's your name? I said, James Thomas. He goes, James Thomas. He goes, Countrywide Properties. He says, I know that one. He says, yeah. He says, you've bought about 7 houses from us here in the last couple of years. I said, yeah. He says, you got another company too, right? And I said, yeah. He says, Upper something or other. I said, yeah, Upper Greenwood Lakes. And he says, yeah, you've bought like 3 with that one or so. I says, yeah. He says, I says, what do you do for New York Mellon? He says, actually, I'm the head of their assets, their non-performing assets, properties that we've taken back. And I was like, awesome. Yeah, I mean, here I am, and this guy knows my companies, right? This is why I'm having that success with the HUDs and stuff. And I said, I'm actually getting ready to buy one of your properties now. And he says, well, what's the address? So I give it to him. And I said, we've had a little bit of trouble with the agent on it. I said, they're not getting back to us. I said, but we put in an offer, quite a while ago. This was on Friday. He says, really? He says, I'll take care of that. Monday, we get a telephone call from the agent that says, hey, we just want to make sure that you understand you're buying the property as is and blah, 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 blah. Now, Ange has become a real estate agent, so she's got her on speaker. And I said, yeah. I said, that's why the contract says we're buying it as is, etc. And she's like, okay, well, your guys' offer has been accepted. I just need this information from you guys, and we're good to go. Yeah. I was like, perfect. I mean, what a relationship. Yeah, what a relationship to build. Just sitting on an airplane, and you would never think that the guy next to you is controlling all of that, right?
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. So, and the spider web, if I can real quick.
Yeah.
The very first house we did together, Josh, Freeland helped me fund it. It was 18 Shady Side.
I remember. Shady
right.
Side. Sure.
What a wreck that house was, and how beautiful it turned out. The guy next door was also an investor. Where he learned, I don't know, but the house is a piece of crap. Okay.
Yeah.
The folks that bought Shady Side, they're starting to make friends with the people that have that property under contract that they're going to buy. Some things go south. They find out some things through inspections that the house that 24 Shady Side is not the house that they want. And they called these people into their house and said, hey, come in and take a look at this house. All right. The one thing I learned from DK a long time ago is put a sign in the front yard from the time you close the property to the time you're getting ready to sell it. Coming soon, we need to sell, whatever, and tell who it's coming from, right? Because you're kind of building that brand a little bit. These guys had drove by Autobahn, saw my sign out front that said another one coming soon from Countrywide Properties. They called these people into their house and said, hey, come look at our house and tell us what you think. So they do a walk around. They fall in love with the house. The lady says to her, she said, if you like this house, the same guy that did this house just did another one on Autobahn. You need to go take a look at it. They literally walked out of there, called their agent. The agent scheduled an appointment. I'm in Autobahn, right? I'm tinkering around with a couple of things, keeping things clean because we're doing showings and whatnot. And I see it pop into my phone through Showtime that these guys are coming in right now. I'm like, yeah, I got to get out of here, right? So I'm starting to walk out as they're like trying to unlock the door. And I was like, I'm sorry. I said, I'm trying to get out of here. I said, I just see you scheduled the showing. So long story short, these people came in that day, looked at the house, fell in love with it because a previous buyer sent them to me.
Nice.
Right? They liked the work that we did. And walked out of there and made not just an offer, but a full price over asking offer to us. Well, not by a lot, by like $1,000 or $2,000 bucks.
Just call it enough.
Locked it up just like that. We just closed that out today. Now, while they were moving in there, I went back to have with my plumber to take care of their vent was off a little bit, so they fixed that. But they're moving in. And they have a helper there helping them that's also looking for a house. They are raving because they also saw Riverside as well. Okay. That's another house that you guys have funded that we have on. And said to her, hey, you like this house? You need to go look at this one that he did because it's even nicer than this one, right? So we have a scheduled appointment for her and her dad to go in and look at that house. So spider webbing, if you're doing good work and people see it, they tell everybody and do the simple things like put that stupid little sign up in the front yard of who it is, because your buyers, if you're working that same area, they're driving by it and they're like, hey, he's doing another one here. I got to tell my aunt, uncle, cousin, brother, sister, uncle, whatever about it. So basically we've got a potential of 3 houses that we've done being sold to people that are friends to each other.
Nice. Nice. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, listen, I know you got to hit the road. You just pulled off, I think, off the turnpike to do this interview, which is awesome. Yep. And you got to get down to hunt for hunting season. And I'm super proud of you, man. This is some great storytelling. I appreciate the insight on kind of where you are now and where you were and where you're going, and some of the stories about some of your deals. And so again, for our audience, if you're, kind of watching this for the first time, maybe this is your first exposure to me or Strategic Real Estate Coach or Jim, check out some of our websites. Check out flippinfund.com. Flip and Fund is our live event page. We do usually two live events, live seminars a year. We bring all of our coaching students in, and a lot of our successful students come. Jim is one of those. He's going to be at our event coming up. And we'll bring him up on stage. He's going to tell some of the stories, some of the the good, the bad, and the ugly about what's going on in the business and what's fun and exciting about his company. So check out that, flippinfun.com. And people always ask us about our coaching program. Jim came to one of our live events and decided to jump into what's called Masters Elite, which is really our highest level coaching and consulting program. It's a full year of training and consulting with me and with a coach one-on-one. But that's only available at our live event. So if you want any information about coaching, about having a real estate coach, one of my guys that I've personally trained, guys that were students of mine who are now coaches, you can check that out at joshcantwellcoaching.com. Now, Jim's from New Jersey, so if anybody's listening to this from New Jersey, New York, kind of that northeastern market, and wants to connect with you, Jim, like what's a good way to get in touch with you? Do you have a website or an email or something that if people want to network with you, they can reach out to you?
Yeah, obviously they can find me in our Master Elite and the 40 the flip sites on Facebook. They can email me at jltiv316@gmail.com. From there, I can give them more personal information, telephone numbers, etc. We can connect. I'm more than happy to help anybody in any way that I can do that. Rather it's, going out with them, walking through a property to kind of look at numbers and stuff like that to, hey, I'm just down in the dumps and I need an ear, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is you need. I mean, I just did that with one of our people, and he's down in Texas, you know what I mean? So, or I'm sorry, he's out in California. So it's, I don't really care where you are. If you need a lift, if you need a kick in the pants, whatever it is, give me a shout and I'll help you out.
That's great. That's great. So look, if you're a buyer, seller, private lender, just want to network, cheerleader, if you're in our group, obviously you probably know Jim. If you're in our accelerated investor program or inside of the Masters Elite program, if you're, outside of that group and you're not yet a subscriber or a student, again, check out our websites, flippinfun.com, joshcantwellcoaching.com, or catch Jim at his email that he just mentioned. Again, he's from the New Jersey market. Network with him, do some deals together. As one of our coaching students, Joe Nemeth, said, we all do better when we do deals together. And I thought that was really, really cool. So just appreciate all of you guys. If you're watching, thanks so much for being here. If you catch this on iTunes, leave us a rating, leave us a review. If you thought it was 5 stars, give us 5 stars. If you have a question, leave it right there in the ratings and reviews area. If you catch this on YouTube, same thing. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Let us know how we did. Leave us a comment, a question. If there's a comment or question specifically for Jim, my team will grab it off of those platforms. We'll feed it over to Jim, and Jim will respond to those comments as well. So, Jim, listen, I will let you go. Be safe on the road. Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
No problem, buddy. Thank you for all you do.
You got it, buddy. Anytime. We'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Take
buddy.
care.